a ritual point of view, we have what is called a havan, a fire sacrifice. In this fire sacrifice, we actually sacrifice a lot of, it's a square container where we light a fire, and in that we offer as sacrifice a lot of grains, um, clarified ghee, or a lot of things in a ritualistic way. But behind those rituals, what is typically happening is I say that I'm offering all my senses so that I'm not prejudiced because of my senses, because I see something and I'm prejudiced because of that, or I hear something and I become prejudiced because of that. And then I offer my ego, and I offer my needs, my intentions, everything I offer to the fire god. And as it burns, symbolically, it also means I'm burning out everything negative in me. So that makes me again empty, that I'm able to be receptive to whatever is happening in front of me.
That is so beautiful.
That's the whole meaning behind a havan, or a homam, as they call it.
So then you really become present.
Yes.
Oh, no clutter. No.
Yes, exactly. It takes away any of the clutter that may have accumulated over the days, over months, and I'm actually empty. So I'm willing to receive whatever. I think it's also there in the Bible, "Thy will be done." So it's just that, having that receptivity to be open to the frequency of whatever is coming in. Like you said a few minutes ago, surrender.
I love that.
That's
You
what it is.
create that space, that clearing,
True.
that
Inner
openness
space to
yes.
allow it to come.
Oh, beautiful. That explains a lot. I'm getting more clarity as we go along. Thank you so much. I can see now we have time to explore Marshall Rosenberg's thoughts on demands. Well, this will be interesting. We can figure out later, request or demand, what's going on. Please enjoy, and we'll be right back.
Now it's this evening. I'm glad that you've agreed to continue the discussion, and I just need to be sure that you're doing it because you want the same thing I do and not out of guilt or afraid of my reaction. So I'd like to really tell me how you are feeling about this conversation right now.
I don't really know.
Kind of mixed, not too sure. The one thing I'm feeling is deep gratitude that at least you're willing to do it, because I have such caring for you and tenderness for you, all mixed together with fear and a bunch of feelings, and it's a gift for me that we're having this opportunity to talk. And I'd like to know how you feel when I tell you about all these strong feelings that are going on in me in relationship to this talk right now. Notice I seldom, if ever so far in the dialogue with her, have used more than 40 words before asking for a reaction. And those 40 words were mainly to tell her what's in my heart, and as soon as I did, I elicited a reaction. The more words we use before getting a connection with the other person, the less connection there'll be.
Well, I'm glad you care about me.
And I'm going to say some other things, and it would be a great gift to me if at any time you hear me criticizing or making any demands, that you stop me. because that will not be my intent. In no way do I want to criticize you. In no way do I want to pressure you to do anything that you don't choose to do. So it would help me if you'd be willing to stop me at any time you hear either of those things. Would you be willing to do that?
Okay.
I'm scared when I see you drinking beer. For many reasons. One, just your physical health. But more than that, I'm scared that you've got some pain inside and you're dealing with it through the beer. And if that's so, I would really like us to find another way of dealing with the pain. And I'd feel relieved now if you'd tell me what you hear me say so I can see if I'm making myself clear.
Well, what I hear you say is that you're afraid that I may be dealing with my pain and confusion by staying out late and drinking beer.
Thank you for hearing that, yeah. And that if that's so, I'd like us to find another way of dealing with it. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I don't really think it's that big of a problem. I don't see what the big deal is, really. I don't think it's a problem.
I'm wanting to give evidence now of why it is a big problem. How much beer I see going on, some things that have happened when she's been drunk. So I had to take a deep breath. So it's kind of frustrating for you now to deal with this because for you, you're not worried in the way that I am. You'd like some trust that you can handle that.
I can take care of myself. I can take care of myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That helps me get clear then. I guess what I'd really like to do is leave the drinking off for the moment, and I'd really like to know what it would take for you to share with me what is bothering you in a way that you would feel safe to do it, so I could feel more connected to what's really going on in you. What would you need from me to feel the safety to do that?
Well, I'd like you not to talk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So you're thinking of some of the discussions we've had and how uncomfortable you were with that, and you'd like to avoid getting into those kind of listening to me talk about things.
I just feel with you, Dad, that I can never do anything right. I can't do anything right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Now I'm jackling myself a bit. I'm thinking of all the lecturing I've done and beating myself up. See? And I hear behind that just my sadness because of how much I want this connection. Now I can start to hear her again. So you certainly want to avoid getting into any discussions that end with you ending up feeling hurt because you didn't get the understanding you wanted and instead were hearing criticism.
yes, right.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel really sad because I would have liked to have listened so much differently in the past than I was able to. So I have no trouble understanding that need of yours. I would have liked to have responded differently. That's mourning in giraffe. You see, I didn't think I'm a bad father. I'm very clearly just mourning that I would have liked to have responded differently than I did. And I'm confident that I can listen differently than I did in the past. I can express my pain differently so that you'll get more understanding, and there won't be the criticism. And I'd like you to tell me how you feel when I tell you I'm confident that I'm learning how to do that.
I think that would really help.
Yep. Okay?
See how
I really enjoyed that. It was another lesson again, slowing down, really being present on what's in the heart of the other person, and simply, is it a request or a demand? Well, the answer is usually, if it is a request, you can work through the process. And of course, it's up to the individual to get their own needs met. And if, in fact, it is a demand, well, then you can tell, because there may be some anger issues and unmet needs behind that. And let's say, I know Marshall jokes and says, behind every no, it's usually a poor excuse for a yes once you get through the pain of what is holding back the person from saying yes, what need they have before they can come to that point of agreeing and going forward. So it takes on a life of its own, and the beauty of it is it's a peaceful way for people, sometimes in a bit of conflict perhaps, can come to a peaceful resolution where it's a win-win. And that's what we love, the just magic of the mechanics behind this language of peace. Were there any thoughts that came up for you with this request, demand, and anger maybe getting in the way? Or?
Yeah. After watching this particular video, again, it struck me that very often it's not because that we want to demand, it's just that we don't know how to request. Invariably, our communication, our language is such that we've never been taught that a request can work a lot more faster, a lot more smoother, and without any unnecessary ripples. But we don't know how to even listen to myself. So because of that, I just make a demand. And when I make a demand, I obviously get a no. And that in itself pushes me back again. So I demand even louder, thinking that probably it's the decibel that's the problem. So as I keep raising my voice and making it a shrill demand, I'm usually met with maybe silence, or maybe a complete resistance, or the person just turns deaf. So I realize over the years that it's not that the person wants to make a demand, the person doesn't know how to make a request. So when I can put my giraffe ears and listen, even in that demand, if I can hear a request, then maybe the relationship gets even stronger and deeper.
I love that, just that remembering that all of us human beings are scrambling the best way we know how to get our needs met, right?
Yes.
And to keep the focus like a spotlight on the heart,
Yes.
regardless of what messages we may be hearing.
True.
Oh, boy, I love that. When I can remain calm in the middle of a storm, even within me, awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing I always want to avoid is shooting all over myself, right?
True, true.
Well, I have another thought to explore with you. I know in this it's how your view of Hinduism fits into the way that people live outside India and, for example, here in the United States.
See, Hinduism is not typically a religion. It's just a way of life. It actually permeates everything. The food we eat, the songs we sing, the music, or the dance, or architecture, everywhere Hinduism is there. It's more of an attitude. That's how I see Hinduism. Though, of course, it is labeled as a religion, it's more an attitude. And typically, again, I